And now from the night team, the tipster that cracked the case of Baby Doe is speaking out. Tonight, we're learning what led up to her call to investigators. Then a deadly discovery at a Cape Cod rest stop, the horrific sight that left a driver stunned and police searching for answers.
It was another warm summer-like day for us, but a cold front moving through tomorrow morning will actually usher in some more fall-like feel.
And that's not all. The Pope on a voyage to the U.S. But first, he is stopping in Cuba. Why the trip is making historic headlines. And the Patriots preparing for battle with the Buffalo Bills. The Bills talking the talk, but can they walk the walk? The night team has live coverage from Orchard Park.
7 News at 10 starts now.
And first at 10, the anonymous tipster who helped police crack the case of Baby Doe is speaking out. Her crucial call allowing detectives to identify Bella Bond. And tonight, Bella's own mother and her mother's boyfriend are in police custody, charged with the 2-year-old's murder. Tonight, a memorial continues to grow on Deer Island. Dozens stopping by today to pay their respects. Tonight, there's emotional reaction from a family that knew Bella Bond as the community searches for closure. The night team's Brandon Gano is live on Deer Island with the very latest. Brandon?
Liz, that tipster didn't say much because this is still an active investigation, and she said there is still much more to come out. But she did say that she is thankful that little Bella can now begin to get justice. After nearly 3 months of looking, we now know Baby Doe was 2-year-old Bella Bond. The case was cracked on Thursday night when Boston homicide detectives received a critical tip. The tipster didn't want to be identified, but told me she called police immediately once she knew.
I'm just happy that Bella has a name. She deserves a name. She didn't deserve to be thrown away in the trash. And I just want justice for her.
Every time I saw the picture, I just kept saying, somebody knows something. Somebody knows who she is.
A neighbor who knew Bella is crushed and said the computer-generated picture never made her think of the girl next door.
First thing I said was, oh my God, Bella. This whole time, I didn't know. I didn't know. She was always happy.
2-year-old Bella Bond would have celebrated her birthday in August. Instead, police say her mother's boyfriend killed the little girl and left her in a plastic bag on a Deer Island beach.
And the tragedy of her death is compounded by the fact that her short life ended not by illness or accident, but we believe by an act of violence.
Michael McCarthy is now charged with murder. Sources say Rochelle told investigators he punched Bella several times in the stomach. The mother now charged with being an accessory after the fact. Police swarmed this Dorchester home where Bella lived with her mother and where prosecutors say she was murdered. But investigators found Rochelle in Lynn Friday morning with Bella's biological father, who still defends his baby's mother.
I know with all my heart that Rochelle Bond would never, ever do anything to hurt anybody. And I was with the woman and it's the mother of my child.
Meanwhile, the memorial on Deer Island is growing as more people came out Saturday.
We wanted to just come out and say a prayer for her and to make sure that she knows that she was loved by many, by many. So God bless you, little Bella.
As for McCarthy and Bond, they are going to be arraigned Monday morning in Dorchester District Court. McCarthy is actually in a hospital right now. We're live on Deer Island in Boston. I'm Brandon Gano, 7 News 19.
And stay with 7 for continuing coverage of Baby Doe identified. For updates anytime, just log on to our website at WHDH.com. Also from the night team, a woman found dead at a popular rest stop on the Cape. Police say a driver pulled in and found the victim. It all happened off Route 6 in Barnstable. That's where we find the night team's John Coco live with the very latest. And John, what can you tell us?
Well, this is all extremely disturbing for the people that work at the rest area. We spoke with one tonight.
To see this happen in your own backyard, it kind of, gets to you a little bit.
Robert Mayo was on his way into work early Saturday morning at the Visitor Center eastbound on Route 6 in Barnstable when he was stopped.
We went to drive in the entrance and was all blocked off with cones and state police.
According to the DA's office, at around 4 a.m., a driver discovered a body at the small rest area. Shortly after, state police arrived, finding the body of a woman who had been shot multiple times. It wasn't until Robert went back home that he began looking into what happened.
We heard that a body had been found here, a person had been shot.
At this point, police haven't said how the body ended up at the rest area or if the victim was murdered there. Investigators are still working the case, and while they do, Robert remains a little rattled by the news.
This is a very friendly place for people to come in on vacation, stop in, get information.
So there are still a lot of questions in this case. Of course, when we get those answers, we'll make sure to bring them right to you. For now, we are live in Barnstable. John Coco, 7 News Night Team.
A Marshfield man killed in a house fire early this morning. Investigators say people in that home tried to help him before they were forced out of the house. Firefighters also attempted to rescue the man who was trapped in his bedroom, but that fire was just too strong. Officials are still trying to figure out what started that fire. And flames tear through an industrial building in Brockton. It happened around noon today. Crews were able to put out that fire before it could spread to flammable material nearby. No word on what caused that fire, but officials do not believe that it's suspicious. The night team now turning to your forecast. What a beautiful night in Boston. Temperatures climbing in the city today, but cooling off tonight. And get ready, things are about to cool off even more. Meteorologist Bree Eggers is standing by with your forecast. Bree.
Yeah, some big changes, Elizabeth. Hopefully you were able to bottle this up today. Near 80 in Boston, almost made it up.
The Patriots gearing up for a Sunday showdown with the Bills. The Pats hitting the road to Buffalo today, ready to take on Rex Ryan. The Bills and their fan base have already made several digs at the Pats. The night team's Trey Dare live in Buffalo, New York with the very latest. Hey there, Trey. The Pope headed for America, but tonight he's making a historic stop in Cuba. Pope Francis arriving in Havana today, greeted by thousands of cheering followers. Cubans lining the streets to get up close to Pope Francis. The leader of the Catholic Church has played a major role in patching up the relationship between the U.S. and the island nation. Pope Francis arrived in Havana Saturday to cheers and chants. His Holiness was greeted by Cuban leader Raul Castro before addressing thousands of people in the communist nation for the first time since becoming Pope.
I thank you very much, Mr. President, for your greeting and your kind words of welcome. In the name of the government and the entire Cuban people.
In addition to meeting with Cuban officials and bishops, the Pope is giving 3 masses over the next few days before heading to the United States next week. His trips are seen as a celebration of a new era of diplomacy between the two nations.
I urge political leaders to persevere on this path and to develop all its potentialities as a proof of high service, which they are called to carry out on behalf of the peace and the well-being of the people of all America, and as an example of reconciliation for the entire world.
The Pope's visit to the U.S. comes amid an intense presidential race. While not a politician himself, Pope Francis has expressed sharply political opinions on everything from campaign finance reform to climate change. But Catholic officials say the Pope will attempt to stay above the partisan fray, acting as a pastor of souls, not a politician. And 7 News has you covered for the Pope's visit. 7's Dan Housley and Jonathan Hall will be following the Pope every step of his trip. Look for their live reports starting next week. Now to Voice Your Choice coverage, a huge crowd rallying for Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire today. The former Secretary of State spoke in front of more than 3,000 activists and elected officials. Clinton continuing to speak out about last week's Republican debates.
Who watched the Republican debates the other night? Oh, you gluttons for punishment, you. 15 candidates, 5 hours, not a single fighter for the middle class.
Clinton also addressed economic growth and unemployment. Well, Donald Trump taking to Twitter and breaking his silence after his latest campaign controversy. The Republican frontrunner not backing down from his comments made at a town hall forum in New Hampshire. A flurry of tweets, the first response from the Republican frontrunner Donald Trump after a political pile-on of sorts.
If somebody at one of my town hall meetings said something like that, I would correct them.
He should come on television and say, I made a mistake.
And today it continued.
The way he handled the question about President Obama was shocking, but not surprising.
All over his lack of response at an event on Thursday.
We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one. You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificates, man.
Trump failed to correct the supporter about President Obama's religion or citizenship. 36 hours later, and following blistering criticism on the campaign trail, Trump tweeted, "This is the first time in my life that I have caused controversy by not saying something. Am I morally obligated to defend the president every time somebody says something bad or controversial about him? I don't think so." The controversy is just the latest for the candidate, who still leads in the polls. Those numbers surging in the face of past squabbles, with many asking, will they this time as well?
No one can make any money betting on Donald Trump's future. There's a feeling that he may be topping out. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be dropping anytime soon.
And after canceling some appearances on Friday, Trump is back on the campaign trail. He appeared at 2 events in Iowa earlier tonight. In other news tonight, a plane hits a fence at JFK this morning. Airport officials say it happened as the plane was getting ready to take off. Thankfully, though, no one was hurt. The cause of that accident is still under investigation. The man suspected of terrorizing drivers on an Arizona highway is now in custody, but he says police have the wrong guy. Detectives say they made the arrest with the help of local pawn shops, and today the suspect faced a judge. After more than 2 weeks of terror, police make an arrest in a string of highway shootings.
The weapon and the man who we believe that was responsible for what started this spree in Arizona is in custody.
2 Arizona government officials have identified the detained man as Leslie Allen Merritt Jr. He was arrested Friday night at a local Walmart in connection with at least 4 of the 11 shootings. Most of those occurred along busy Interstate 10.
He was arrested at that Walmart with a woman and a 5-year-old child. They were not taken into custody, and he was.
City Councilman Sal DeCiccio says that the break in the case came after the suspect pawned a 9mm handgun. Police say their lab results showed it was the same gun used in at least 4 of the highway shootings.
Subject is in custody because the weapon that he owned is forensically linked to these crimes.
The suspect is only linked to the first 4 shootings. Police are unclear whether there are more suspects.
Are there others out there? Are there copycats? That is possible. We will continue to investigate.
Police say the shooting spree started on August 29th. The suspect's father was not pleased to learn about the allegations.
Whoever said he's the I-10 shooter is a moron. Have a good night.
Wow, that guy was mad, wasn't he? Well, police are offering a $20,000 reward for any information about the other potential suspects. And we're following more news tonight. President Obama making a historic nomination today. Eric Fanning tapped to be Secretary of the Army. Fanning becomes the first openly gay person to lead a branch of the U.S. military. The nomination still needs to be approved by the Senate. Officials say the death toll from a massive earthquake in Chile has gone up. 13 people were killed after a magnitude 8.3 earthquake hit Wednesday night. And tonight, soldiers are helping residents there clear the damage from the streets, and there's a lot of it. More than 1 million people have been forced to evacuate. Iconic author Jackie Collins has lost her battle with breast cancer. Collins' family confirmed the news today, saying that the best-selling novelist lived a wonderful life. Collins' career spanned over 4 decades, with her novels selling more than 500 million copies worldwide. She died in Los Angeles and was 77 years old. Well, coming up from the night team, Buffalo fans talking a big game. The message from Bills fans that has New England fired up. And raising awareness with a world record attempt. Hundreds in Norwell doing cartwheels for a cause.
And it was maybe just a little too warm for apple picking today, but tomorrow it'll be much more appropriate to heat up the cider. Fall-like weather coming up, and we'll talk about it in the forecast.
An RV erupts into flames, rolling out of control down the street. The heart-stopping video that left other drivers stunned. And the bees back in action. We head over to the Garden as the Black and Gold get ready to open up the preseason.
Monday. When you send your dogs to daycare, you expect them to be safe. But wait till you see what Hank found. Doggy daycares local officials didn't even know existed.
Until we told you about it, did you know?
Where are you leaving your precious pet? Hank investigates. Monday at 6 a.m. on 7 News Today, New England.
Tapping that keg, right? Well, the beer is flowing again at Oktoberfest in Germany. Dozens of people at the festival dressed up in traditional Bavarian clothing today. Officials say more than 6 million people will attend Oktoberfest this year. The festival runs for 2 weeks. And if they're going to have any Oktoberfest festivals around here this October, here's hoping maybe it starts feeling a little bit more fall-like out there, Bree, because we've been having a really warm September.
Yeah, it's true. But you know what? It is still summer. Reminded of that today on Twitter.